Hello, hello, hello. Time for another summer school. Gonna cover mid lane today. Hello again, I'm Jonas X. I should really do this whole introduction thing. Platinum ranked in North American server. Used to be a jungle main, now I kind of fill most roles. Some better than others, but I play them all fairly competently. I don't mid with a lot of champions, pretty much just Viktor and Orianna. A couple different reasons for them. I like they both have strong ultimates. They both have AoE. Viktor is a stronger poker than Orianna is. Orianna is almost more of a defensive poker against a lot of the longer range champions. But Viktor is my favorite. I've probably put more games on him than anyone else. And he's... What I like about Viktor is you can build him into whatever scenario you kind of need. You just start with a heavy amount of AP, and for example, if you're fighting mid lane melee, such as let's go with Zed, Viktor can he can really outrange him. Plus his Q and his auto attack give him the ability to really zone out Zed. And I mean, if you can dodge his ninja stars, then he's going to take damage guaranteed with every engagement. And you can follow up with auto attacks if he doesn't land anything, since you've got the shield from the Q that returns that will save you from minion hits. So it gives you a lot of options to deal with melees, which can be issues for some mages. And he also has that long-range laser poke. So I generally level that every time, unless again I'm fighting a melee, and even then I usually still level the laser first. But there are unique scenarios, like say I'm fighting a Talon, for example, where maybe the Q might be better off, as long as I can dodge his rake, or bait out the rake. Anyways, so the other nice parts about him are the Q adaptions. You can build Viktor to deal with, say for example, like Singed would be a good person if you're laying against to get the Q very early, so you can maintain distance against him. The Q's almost primarily I used to run top lane Viktor a lot, almost for a laugh, and then it sort of did really well, and I kind of ran it a few times and ranked. And it works. It does. It beats up melees really badly. Anyways, so with mid, I generally only level the blue or the red. I level the red if I need to win the lane. I level the blue if I can wait, because it has a lot more impact for team fights. Especially with how it's got one range at one point and then another range at another point. And a lot of people don't even play Viktor. They're not even really aware of the gravity well. Like, they don't deal with his gravity well very often. And the extended range on it, you can catch a lot of people off guard or by surprise. And I do that a couple times in this game, and it does definitely pay off. I don't think we end up winning this one. And I thought that it was a good example of later in the game. It's pretty obvious how we lost, so I should be able to outline a few points there as to what to do and what not to do for team fights. It's not going to be so much from an AP mid perspective, just like a general what to do and what not to do in team fights with any champion. Because everybody made a few mistakes as far as I can remember, including myself. I mean, I never make mistakes. I am infallible. So I level Q first against most champions, just for the early advantage you can usually get from it. Like you saw right there, just with an auto attack and a Q and then walking away, the shield prevented a lot of minion damage. And I come out ahead. Then I go do that again. I mean, she's popped a potion and I haven't, so that's a big plus. I can just rely largely on regen at this stage. And I'm always looking to get, I mean, even if she's level 2, as long as I don't get stunned, then I'll be just fine to trade a little bit of damage and then go back. I try to do a lot of parallel movements where the champion is, just to make it a little harder for her to land those balls. A lot of walking in and out. Like it's basically a feint. It's like a boxer throwing a feint or a UFC fighter throwing a feint. Well, there's a point here I wanted to make. Yi pinged that she was coming in, or that he was coming in for the gank. Back up. And I don't have any CC abilities. Like I already chose my laser before I knew it was coming. I think. Pretty sure I did that. So the only options I've got at that point is to try and kind of bait her into the engagement. And I know that she's been looking to trade with me and do damage to me as opposed to just try and free farm. So I close the gap, get her to throw something, and basically, I don't make it obvious. Like I don't run at her and go for a full-on engagement. And you notice she did walk back to land one of the other trades that she normally would have. I also completely wasted that flash. I didn't want to rely on Yi's red buff. I gotta make a habit of clicking on champions, looking at their health, and then I should know exactly how much damage red buff does, but I only know really how much of the bar it's gonna tick away, which is very little at most levels. I got really lucky not dying to lead here. I should have gone back. And if I didn't go back, I should have at the very least been sitting in the minions, so I'm not going to take both Qs to the face. Now, I knew Yi was in the area, and I thought there might be a chance that I could bait this Lee Sin into a kill, but I wanted this Yi to just run straight into this bush, but he decides to dick around and go the long way. And so the second I saw him going that way, I just went back. I'm not going to start chasing. Like, I can't walk into that bush with that low health, knowing that Lee Sin could potentially still be in the area, and it turns out that he was. I'm going to watch this game from, turn the shadow on from this point going forward. Shadow, shadow, shadow. How do I do that? Fog of War. I am purple side. Okay. It's kind of cheating giving a tutorial when you can see everything that's going on. Kind of. I'm still... I have a bad habit of clicking to go back to the lane when I'm not playing the game. So, again, I'm always trying to pressure Syndra to a point, but she's doing a lot more wave pushing right now, which is fine. I'm not big on shoving the minion wave unless, say for example, this bot lane's pushed a lot and there's opportunities to gank it. Then I'll hard shove, I'll burn a bunch of mana, and then I'll run bottom. Otherwise, like especially with the Lee Sin on board, you want to really control the lane and make sure you don't end up always under their tower or right around here, because Lee is going to make you pay for that. Farm is really important, isn't it? You want to make sure you get as much as... Well, it's important for any lane. It's a stupid statement for me to make. If I was better as a mid, I would have gotten more kills in this game. There were opportunities. I was even watching where I could have made a couple flash plays and picked off low people. They also would have been risky. It would have been like diving Lee Sin with 300 health under his tower. But between my laser and my E, I had enough damage to just burst him outright. So I'm not the greatest mid. All I really do right is trade properly, and I usually pressure and win the lanes, but I'm also playing, I just usually play lane bullies, so that's kind of what they're supposed to do. I generally farm pretty well until mid-game or so, and I start roaming a lot, and I don't focus so much on farm. I only really farm to push up lanes or defend towers. I don't ward well at all as a mid. I even told the team in this game I've got really bad tunnel vision when it comes to laning. I focus a lot on hitting the champion and grabbing last hits. And compared to my jungler, my support player, where I'm always staring at the mini-map, it's really bad. Like, it's something I need to work on in mid lane and in top lane. I developed a lot of bad habits when I started playing this game. Which, I mean, they work for me and they don't. If I don't get camped, or even the jungle ignores me in mid, I do really, really well, but that's not supposed to happen generally, so it's not a scenario you want to really be the best at. This Yi was an issue in teamfights. He was great in lane. Once the teamfight stage hit, he didn't know what to do. Morgana was just wandering the map and getting caught a lot of the game. It was really problematic. It was one of the reasons we lost. Yi was most of the reason we lost. that and maybe bot lane being timid. Like, if Morgana wasn't getting caught, then I can't remember her ult going off in a team fight, for example. So if you're Morgana and you're not ulting in team fights, like, what are you good for in that spot beyond holding someone in place for 3 seconds and doing a pathetic amount of damage? I guess the Black Shield. I shouldn't write her off completely. This is me pinging that I'm ganking this lane, and I think they're already gone. Yep. Mid lane does have a bit of a responsibility to try and help the other lanes. The Singed was someone I was not chasing. I think he was proxy farming for a lot of this game. And I'm not, like, I don't have a gap closer, unless I catch him in my gravity well. I mean, and Singed is someone who runs away really well. There's more to be said here. Riven absolutely annihilated this lane, and I'm still pretty sure we lost the game. It was really depressing to lose with a fed Riven and a fed Yi. The only time we really won team fights is when I caught somebody with my gravity well. As will be demonstrated later. Whenever the jungler shows up, I love punishing them, and it's almost from a jungler's perspective of when I take damage, like if the jungler has to go back to heal, he's not ganking other lanes. Anytime you can waste the jungler's time the jungler has like a third time resource that most champions don't, where if they're spending it effectively, they'll be more effective. I guess that's a stupid thing to say. Syndra walked way out here, put herself in the perfect position for the gravity well. I wasn't sure I was going to get the kill, but at the very least I can bully her, do a shit ton of damage, and put her in a spot that she's not going to want to be in. Or at least where I gain control of the lane. Now, I saw Yi going back there, but I knew he was in rage, and I also saw him jump on Syndra. So I've got no health, and I've got no mana. But I can bait him. I've got my heal. And that's kind of all I really did. I was pretty sure you would be able to turn that into a double if I kept Lee around. I didn't think he was going to dive me, but whatever. Double kill for our team is definitely a bonus, especially 2 kills for Yi. I'll sack myself for that scenario every time. What else is there? Didn't really cover farming so much, but I mean, I'm making these videos for you, for people who you've been in silver and bronze, you maybe even low gold. You're looking to improve. You have you've been kind of stuck, and I'm hoping I can give you some tips and tricks, or give you a couple ideas that might improve your overall gameplay experience, get you a couple ranks up higher, etc. And I'm not saying you have to play Viktor. I'm just demonstrating with Viktor. He's the only champion I've ever really nailed the mechanics down and felt comfortable enough to play ranked. I wanted him to die with this. Really did. But it doesn't. I baited that Lee a couple times. Didn't always work out at that spot. I mean, you could tell I stopped and land the kick. And I wanted him to land the kick. Didn't have my gravity well up, but if he came out of the turret with me, between my Q and my E damage, that might have been enough. I was pretty sure he wouldn't burst me. I think I had, yeah, I already had Seeker's Armor Guard. Zhonya's is a really powerful item on Viktor. Between his Gravity Well and his ult, you walk in, drop Gravity Well, ultimate, Zhonya's. They'll start focusing you. The lower ranks especially will sit there and try and, like, focus you. Like, literally right-click your champion, try and use abilities on you. I mean, I used to do it, so I know they do. it's how I know. Plus, like, you see this point where the team fight kicks off, and then everyone's taking damage, then you Zhonya's when you're right at the front of the pack, and then all of a sudden, no one's health bars are dropping except theirs. Like, obviously, they're focusing you. This Singed, despite getting completely smashed in lane, was still a giant problem. Giant problem. All throughout the game. And it was largely because he would pressure our team. He would just throw himself into the fray with his giant tanky ass. I should have been pressuring this lane more. I had total control of it, but I'm a noob mid. I shouldn't say noob, my Victor's like 85%? Over like 10 games, it's not many. And most of them are top. I think there's only 4 played mid. I swear I only played like 4 games of mid throughout the entirety of Gold. It's just, it's more popular, everybody wants it. Everybody. You say Phil, they take mid. Which is fine. I mean, I'm not... Again, I haven't played it a ton, so... I mean, I played it more back in the day. Maybe now. You always want to try and play mid that's going to bring something to a team fight, in my opinion. More so in solo queue than if you're playing with a ranged team. Just for the simple fact that the more AoE you have and the more CC you have, the more options you have in team fights to deal with whatever the hell you might need to deal with. I mean, AoE CC is even better. I think Vigar's an incredibly strong champion that I'm shocked isn't played more. He gets beaten up early on in the lane, which is probably why, but that trap, like, it doesn't even matter if he's supporting and not getting much in the way, because, like, he's, you know, Nasus with his Q. Vigar can farm up off minions and get a pretty ridiculous amount of AP, but even support, I see Vigar's crush all the time. That trap, group stun, is so powerful. And completely locks off entire zones. They should really reduce the size of it, is kind of what I was thinking. So it can't, like, lock down the entire, like, split a team in half, or catch 3 people inside of it. I mean, it's such a powerful thing. And, like, at least my gravity load can walk out the stupid. I got totally caught here. We didn't have enough vision. I was trying to get close to the team. I should have just come around this side safely. I wasn't even dragging a contest for. I don't know what I was thinking. And that's kind of the thought process you want to go for when you die. It's not what did my team do wrong, it's what did I do wrong. Because they didn't get you killed. You put yourself in that spot. You chose to follow them. You chose to go for the kill. And following teammates isn't a bad thing either. The higher you go into elo, the more that's going to pay off, because you're going to have teammates that are making smarter decisions. The lower elo guys are going to get you in trouble. They do all the time. I mean, I'm a big team player. I mean, that's half the fun of this game for me. I mean, I played a lot of RPGs when I was younger, like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy series, etc. And I always really... You couldn't really picture what it would look like when 5 of these special people would get together and go into combat. It's all turn-based, right? You know, they just sit on one side and whack with their sword or use their little... Anyways, so that's almost how I view these games, is an RPG. We're a group of 5, and we actually get to fight 5 other people from another RPG or something like that. My point is the whole, the team fight experience. Like, I love the interactions between all the champions, the different, you know, like, combinations of abilities, and you know, like, when all for one mode, where you could have 10 Alistairs on the board, 5 and 5 Alistairs, and A-Ram, like, just the fact that you could have people flying around the screen with multiple headbutts I thought was awesome. Or, you know, Urgot ulting somebody and then getting kicked in the middle of it, or kicked right at the end, so there's like this triple swap movement or position scenario where you don't even really know exactly what happened when you come out of it. You just know you're in a completely different spot than where you were before. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. I'm basically just defending mid right now. We don't have a whole lot of ward coverage on the board. I know Singed is up here, and I know their bot lane was wandering up from bottom. I think I'm calling for defense on my tower right now. I'm suspecting that they're going to push. And you can usually see that sort of forming. Yeah, I was right. You can usually see it forming on the mini-map. People will leave lanes at the same time, or if you see like 3 people converging on mid, it's usually not. Like, either they're being a little silly and putting themselves at risk, or they have everything warded and they know that they're completely safe to push. And that is a possibility. But most times you see 3 people running towards a single lane. It's going to be a 5-man push, and you should respond in time. I think I got completely caught under while I was trying to pressure. I'm busy talking. So we haven't definitely tried in that team fight. I can't fault that. But this Ezreal and Morgana were always on the fringe. I don't think he was actually doing much auto-attacking in the team fights. You'll see a lot of ADCs do that. They'll hover right in the fringe. They won't really engage. Like, what they should be doing is sticking on the closest tank, or the closest person, anything, that they can hit without putting themselves in danger. It doesn't matter who they're focusing, just as long as they're focusing somebody. But some will just sit back and throw abilities with entirety. I'm completely... I know I'm not going to kill anybody here. I'm defending the turret. That's all I'm doing. Clear the minion wave. I mean, catching a couple of them in a gravity-welled ultimate was great, but I knew that I wasn't going to finish them outright. I am trying to keep Lucian interested here, myself safe, so my teammates can finish him off. I didn't have the intention of doing it myself. If you notice here, I don't go for a lot of kills. I mean, like, I'll take them when I see the option, but as far as I'm concerned, my job is to drop my gravity well into a situation in a team fight that's going to be advantageous for us, could potentially initiate, and then do damage to... If I can target a squishy character safely, I will go for it, and you'll see that later. I jump on Lucian in the middle of a team fight. Later on too, I tried to flash gravity well their Syndra, which turned into a fight that we totally lost because their REE decided to dive under 2 Nexus turrets when we did not have a massive... And, well, 2 Nexus turrets and 4 people. It was very foolish. If you had just sat back, killed the inhibitor turret, this would have been a completely different game. But I'll show that when it happens. It's not for a while yet. How many deaths is this singed into now? Oh, we got a kill. He set himself. I've said this before, but it's good to reiterate. You don't always want to go by the scoreboard. Like 13-14 looks really good for us in this spot, and it is. Like, it's good to be ahead or even. But for example, the Singed got 4 deaths before he had 1 kill. So those last 2, the third and the fourth, only netted like 200 and then like 180, which is almost like it's 100 plus regular kill. If you're in a game where you've got a support that's 0-7 and the score is, you know, like 23-20 for you or for them, plus let's say 23-20 for them, that's actually a pretty close game. Those last 3 deaths really didn't net them much. Even like an assist kill, that's like $40. It's pretty negligible. It's like 2 minions. And I'll use this point to reiterate: you don't always want to be going for kills. Farm is far more valuable, and it's more consistent. Like that, you almost want to opt for. I don't want to say opt for the farm instead of the kill, because that's not true. A kill is a huge thing. It also prevents them from farming and gaining experience and having any effect in situations to get into later. But you never want to put yourself at risk when you do it. At the same time, you also want to be really aggressive. Like, the more aggressive you are and the more mistakes you make early on, you'll learn when you can start measuring the aggression, and you'll learn when you're in a spot that you shouldn't be in, because you'll die in that spot, 5 times, and then you start recognizing that, okay, this was always a bad idea, and I just never realized it. If that makes sense. I should give an example, but I've been rambling too much. I gotta maintain a little more focus with these descriptions. Again, baiting the Lee Sin. Works 50% of the time, every time. zip ahead to... Well, yeah. Let's basically show the team fights, how we lost, and I'll probably call it a day. So there's one right around the mid. Oh, there it happened there. Alright. I have no idea how this formed. This Morgana had zero fear when it came to warding. And that was most of the time how she got caught. Because you notice we have no vision of any of them on the map right now, and she just freely walks into the jungle. Not a care in the world. La-di-da-di-da. Could be Lisa in this bush, who gives a fuck? That was not a bad attempt by Ribbon. I don't know if he forced a flash at a Soraka or not, but he's trying to pick. He's potentially picking off a single person. It's again a little dangerous. He's got Yi for backup here, and Yi clearly didn't want to engage for the simple fact that a lot of their team is missing. There's no wards in the area where they engage. Oh, this is a later. Is this an earlier or later fight? Anyways, they started a 4-on-5, and I showed up at the end. It turned out to be better. Oh, this is where I can switch. See, target the damage whenever you can. And I got that with the blue buff adaptation. It wouldn't have worked without it. And I don't know, they looked like they were in a full retreat. I don't know if they were waiting for me in that spot or not. It could have been a really smart engagement because they knew I was on my way. It's not bad to start a 4-on-5 in that spot, especially if your ADC or your AP mid isn't there and they're about to join the fray. It's the same as having brilliant positioning. Like, they can't target them if they're not there. Especially if they show up like a second or two into the team fight where everyone's already blown a lot of their CDs. I've seen it work out too many times for it not to be a good idea. Let's put it that way. But you have to know that guy's on his way to the team fight. Like, for all you know, especially in like gold and silver, you'll see them, or sorry, silver and bronze, you'll see them running up and then beeline to the jungle and like start farming wraiths or something. So careful. Like, you have to make sure you can trust a teammate before you do something like that. And I got some good advice from him. I'm gonna have him on the cast later in the week, maybe next week sometime. He's another diamond, and we talk about theory all the time, and the conversations usually get pretty long-winded, so I thought it was a great example, or a great person to have on. We can just bounce ideas off each other. The conversation should be interesting, at the least. They Baroned here, and it was totally their prerogative. I don't know what Morgana's exactly doing bottom, but again, she moved on from the game. Yi went in to try and steal Baron, I think, which isn't a bad move, if he gets it. It's a bit of a risk, but 4 people can usually still hold a tower or whatever. And if he gets it, the risk is worth the reward. And I tried to, I mean, like, we were 3 people here, we're not going to run from the Singed. Morgana just got caught. It's best to try and make the most out of this scenario. And sometimes you're going to have to do that, just start a fight that, you know, if you can't control your teammates, then... And it does work out. Like, we got, I think it was a 2 for 2, 3 for 2. Could have easily been a 3 for nothing, or a 2 for nothing. Like, if I just start running there, Morgana definitely, well, Morgana's dying regardless. But, I'm probably not getting away from Singed after she goes down. I want to say he was opting too much for farming, but it looks like he was actually striking a pretty decent balance. I saw him in lanes a lot. He ended up putting up some good farm numbers, making good use of time is probably a good way to put it. But again, the Yi was strong farmer and ganker. Shit at team fighting. Had no idea what he... Well, I'm not going to say no idea. But it was definitely weaker. And you also see that the more games you play with people that have, you know, it's 40 minutes in and they're still running into a, say, this is sort of a decent... Like, if they run here right now in the game to grab this farm, tell me I'm not going down there to get that. I think I'm going to get blue. That would be hilarious. They come down here right now to get this farm, and then they just grab it and then run away. Or even just push up the lane and like, don't go for the tower at all. The entire enemy team's missing. Everything's dark in the jungle. That kind of person is going to be inexperienced at team fights for the simple fact that they do that every single game, and they just don't they just don't get into very many team fights. And when they do, they're lost. It's, you know, they might focus one person, or they might just run from the fight entirely and not really get near anybody and have zero effect. Like, a lot of people play this game, play tons of 40-minute games. Like, the whole point of what you're doing in lane, the farm that you're gathering, is so you can contribute as best you can to the team fight. Not so you can put up a really wicked score and impress your buddies with, look what I did! I got a pentakill! So here comes a really horrible team fight that should have gone in our favor, but Yi threw it away. Pretty sure what happens. Recall serves me correctly. And I think Riven had the right idea. She stayed right on the fringe of combat, bursted people when she could safely. And you even seen that as the team fight ends, she's trying to take down the inhibitor, which was the right move. I tried to follow the Yi that made horrible decisions. And I would never have gone that far without him. So this is the initiation. I tried to grab some, she flashed out. Grabbed it well. Back off, and then this is the Yi insanity. I mean, if he didn't alpha strike right there, he probably would have been okay. But the second he came out of it, they just CC'd first. And I tried to follow up on that. It was just a disaster. Didn't get anybody, except maybe. What's it called? We got anybody? Oh, Syndra. I got Syndra. So I kind of want to fault myself for that initiation. Anytime I initiate a fight that doesn't work out in our favor, I feel like it's my fault. But I can't control the Yi over extending that engagement. Like, even forcing back Syndra so potentially their other 4 teammates get near us and start a fight that they can't win. I mean, just sitting back and pressuring the inhibitor after he forced them back like that was the move. And we don't really ever recover from that. We get one other team fight after. It happens around Baron, and the team is definitely, bot lane is skittish at this point. Because you saw Riven initiates, and they pretty much sat on the fringe. You notice I'm not scared to get close to their team and try something, but I'm pretty aware of all their abilities. And the only thing I can really get caught by is Syndra's stun. Or a charge, an outright charge from Singe, but I've got my gravity well to stop that. Which doesn't work at all, as you can see. Yeah, I don't know where our team is right now. Yi was healing and dying or something. Riven got caught in that last engagement. But I might have just gotten too close to Singed. I don't know where the gravity well came. I might have already used it. Maybe it was in the CD. Whatever. I could also just call it a mistake. Anyways, that's... No, there's one more team fight. We defend this. And there's one more team fight around middle. And I can tell you what happens right now. Yi goes ham, overextends. Riven is kind of lost as to when to engage at this point. Because half the team goes, the other half doesn't. I get kicked by Lee Sin into a horrible spot and die and do very little, from what I remember. And then Riven and Morgana do, or sorry, Ezreal and Morgana do.
Double kill.
Again, this is just my recall from previous game. I'm just gonna fast forward. We're almost there. Here it is. 13 seconds prior. Okay. So, I think Yi wanted to Baron. I know I didn't make this call. Now, we're baiting Baron, or either if we're baiting it or we're doing it, we gotta be prepared for their, I don't know what their thought process was here. Because, again, I'll show you, it's 35, 37, 35. Yeah. So, either we're baiting Baron, or we're taking it. Either way, if their team shows up, running isn't a giant option here. Like, running just gives them barrier instead. A perfect point would have been to catch their ADCs. Like, if they had just initiated, Riven and Yi had jumped in at the same time with follow-up from Morg, we would have gotten their carries at this point. I would have still most likely gone down right around here. But the carries, one of our carries would have lived where both of theirs died, which would have been an advantage for us. But largely, how we lost was this. Show it one more time. I don't think I'm illustrating it very well. Let's watch Morgana and Ezreal. I've been ragging on them the whole time. Let's make sure that I'm right. Throws an ability, gets a mile away, and that's it. And there's ultimate, which whiffs completely. That's it. Not a single auto attack. So yeah, don't do that as ADC. Pro tip. Pro tip from Jonas X. I'll call that the game. They just walk in and kill our Nexus, and that's the end of it. You've seen Nexuses die before. You don't need to see another. Okay, so that's another episode. If you got any comments, leave them in the YouTube video. I'd appreciate it. And see you guys next time. Keep fit and have fun.